morning, everybody. Today I want to talk about something that happened the past weeks. It sort of upset me, and it's about cycling. It's about professional men's racing cycling, to be exact. There has been this report about Lance Armstrong in which the amount of evidence that he was running the most sophisticated doping practices of all time was sort of overwhelming. I have been a fan of professional cycling for a really long time. The Tour de France are it's like one of my favorite events of the year. First of all, I was really upset that Armstrong turned out to be such a cheat, because I followed him, like I went to races, cheered for him. I don't know, I always thought he was awesome, and then to find out that he was sort of cheating on everybody, it's just not particularly nice. Now, what upset me much more is not that Armstrong in particular cheated, but that it becomes more and more obvious that during the 90s, the beginning of this century, there was this sort of culture with cycling that made it very improbable that cyclists did not do doping. Like, that for me is probably the worst thing, because now I don't know who to trust anymore, and that really sucks. Like, there is no rider in the peloton today that I would vouch for that he never did doping. There are people that I would be very upset if it turned out that they did, or you know, I really do not suspect, and I think they don't, but I'm not sure anymore, because year after year all these new cases of doping saw the light. I sort of lost faith in this, everybody in the peloton collectively, and even though most of the people nowadays probably do not deserve that at all. The second thing that really upset me is that this is a report that basically discusses facts that happened before 2005, and I honestly believe that since 2005 a lot has changed. I do feel that, you know, the discourse about it and the acceptance of it, it really changed, and that's a very good thing, because it means that it's probably a lot less likely that especially young riders would start doing it. Because to be honest, that was the thing about the Armstrong report that upset me the most. There were lots of riders that testified that they did doping, but they also referred to it as a sort of coercion into it. Like, as a young rider, they say, okay, you either join this doping program, or, you know, you have to quit and we can't work with you and you're gone forever, basically. And that's a very unfair choice, I think. And I do feel that that has changed, but I'll never know for sure. And before cycling and cyclists really have like restored this credibility, like a lot needs to be done. And it doesn't seem like a lot is happening, and that really disappoints me, because I feel that a lot of people respond in the wrong way. For example, one of the guys that used to cycle with Armstrong and sort of talked about this in his report, his name Levi Leipheim, and he said, okay, I did doping, there was this thing, and then in turn he his team said, okay, we really appreciate that you open up like this and that you help to like clean up our sports, but unfortunately now we have to fire you. I think this is like the completely wrong reaction, because now what cyclists see is, okay, I better shut my mouth or I will lose my job. And the second like main reaction that really shocked me was last Friday, was that Rabobank announced that they would quit sponsoring their cycling team. And I sort of understand why they would feel that this was not good for their name anymore, but they invested so much and they trained all these cyclists, and now they have this pretty awesome team. I might be a bit biased, but hey, I would say pretty awesome team of young riders. I don't know, I think they're like on the verge of really breaking through and starting to win big things. And to quit now is, I don't know, it feels like they were part of the peloton when all these bad things happened, but instead of helping towards the solution, they sort of abandon. They don't completely abandon, I'm exaggerating things a little, but they walk away from it, and they walk away from these riders that they have now who are not to blame for what happened 10 years ago. Another thing I was very disappointed by yesterday was the UCI's reaction to the Armstrong report, which was the International Cycling Union, and they appeared to be very pissed off. I watched the entire press conference, but they didn't put any blame on themselves. That disappointed me so much, because if in the report there's some suspicion that some officials might have turned a blind eye or something, and I think a lot has to change within the UCI, and they need to do so many things, and they didn't mention that at all, which then again I think also sort of enforced the decision that the Rabobank made by saying, okay, we lost the ability that the sports can clean itself up. So I'm really conflicted that on one hand I think there needs to be some large changes, like for example saying everybody with a doping pass is not allowed in official positions within cycling anymore. So for example, Alexander Vinokurov, a cyclist from Kazakhstan who has been caught using doping as well, will now become sort of the manager of one of the main teams called Astana. I would say that would probably be a good thing to sort of cut it off. But on the other hand, if it really was this culture, and it was because it was so commonplace, you never know who exactly did it and who did not. So just punishing the people that got caught, even though maybe everybody did it, also seems I think neither of those things are very good. But I don't know what the good middle ground would be. And then the second thing I'm also conflicted about is whether this discovery that Armstrong and so many others did doping for so many years in such a structured way diminishes what he did during those, like the 7 Tour de France ones. The UCI officially took his victories away, so he's not listed as the winner anymore. He was somebody that was very strict on himself, very hard, and like a control freak in every aspect, and that was everything he ate, everything, like his training, his racing, his entire team, and also doping. But I wonder if that one thing really sort of overshadows all the other things, because to be honest, I still admire him, but I'm also kind of angry about it, and I'm just not completely sure where I stand on that. It feels very strange. But for the future, I really hope that all this mess can be channeled into something productive and a strategy on how cycling as a whole sport can get past this, because I love the sport. But it would be great that also in like a larger public, these athletes who do work really hard, and also the ones that do not use doping, can reclaim some of their credibility, because it's really unfair for people that won the Tour de France with just extremely hard work to always have this suspicion above their head. There is this point now that when your name is just even slightly mentioned in relation with something bad, it's sort of an immediate conviction, because it's really hard to prove. So circumstantial evidence is often the only thing that there is, but it's not always right, and where the truth is, like, that's something that's so completely like, there will probably always be cheaters, but I really hope that this can use to develop the sport in a way that's a lot more healthy and a much more exciting thing for everybody involved. But if I see the reaction up till now, I doubt that, because in the beginning I was quite optimistic that this could turn into something pretty good, but everybody is just doing it a bit wrong, in my opinion. If you do not care about cycling and you have watched this entire video, I am sorry about that. It's just something I don't know, I care about it. So I will see you next time. Bye.